Okay, hello lovelies. It is the morning. I've had a little bit of coffee and I'll probably have some more here in a little bit. But I need to record this opening so I can produce it. Edit, all that stuff. So this video is my second table runner. Um, it's a really easy gift. This one's a little more difficult than the other ones simply because I made a 90-degree point at both ends, and that required a little bit of careful cutting. But other than that, it probably took me about a half an hour to actually do, maybe an hour because I went around and top stitched it. I used two fabrics, each a yard and a half to get the approximate length, but I kind of cheated a little bit, and I cut the pieces and then I sewed the center to make a long strip. If you want a continuous strip, I'd advise getting 3 yards of the material and being prepared to have quite a bit left over. You could make placemats with it, you could make a whole bunch of things with it, but I used a yard and a half so I wouldn't have as much scrap left over, and I ended up using those scraps in the previous video to make the neck warmers that I made. Other than that, you'll need thread to match, scissors, cutting implements, something to give you a straight line so you can, cut it to a straight line, and that's about it. It's a really easy thing to do for someone. It can get a little finagly turning it out, but it looks nice in the end, and I think it will be a well-received present you can give to anyone. Personally, I'd recommend it for like grandmothers or people who like to fully decorate their house for any given season. You can do this for any type of gift as well. It doesn't have to be just the winter gift. You can do it for spring, summer, fall. You can do one for each holiday. It just depends on who you are and what you like to do. So I hope you have a good day. Drink lots of fluids, and I will see you all next time. Bye. So for this one, you need two fabrics, as I mentioned before. I did two fabrics of 45-inch Christmas cotton, cut probably 16 inches wide, and then I seamed those two pieces together so I would have a super long strip that was 15 inches wide by, I think it was 6 feet, no, 3 yards long. So if you don't want to seam down the middle of your piece, get some fabric that's 3 yards long for this, or however long you need it for your surface tools. So once you have those, I do advise ironing the fabric, and then you want to, for me, I lined up the center seam so that if I had any excess, which I do here, I would be able to trim it off. Once that is trimmed off, you should find the center of your piece and either make a marking or snip. I chose the snip method because it gave me a defined edge. Now, one of the things I did differently than you probably would was because I knew this fabric probably wiggled a little when I was cutting it. I went through and sewed up both side seams, but on one seam I left a 3-inch gap so that I would be able to turn the piece in right side out so that it would lay nicely. As you can see here in this seam, you can see the seam on one side and then there's a seam on the other. Once I have that, I do a 45-degree angled cut so that and then I do a second one on the other side, another 45-degree angle, so that it matches up. And I do it in such a way that the center point lines up with in the center, basically. Another method you could do is to match the edges, like fold it in half, and then do a 45-degree cut so that it would, you know, come out to a 90-degree angle. So here I am doing the second side. And then once that's done, I'll go through and sew that point on both ends. And once that's sewn up, I will clip the corners and then start flipping it out. But I will take my hemostats and push those corners out. Also, on these edge pieces, on this point, I made sure to grade the seam allowance down so that the point would actually, be pointy as opposed to not very pointy. Because this is a gift and I want it to look nice. So once that is done, I turn it inside out, making sure to push out the corners, and once it is all right side out, you then want to take it over to your ironing table or ironing board or whatever you choose to iron with, and press those edges down, making sure that the seam allowance is tight up against the edge so that you get a nice even edge so it isn't wobbly, wibbly, or any of that. Once that's done, I took mine back to the sewing machine and did two top stitchings because I am top stitching with a gold embroidery thread, and so I wanted it to come out with gold on both sides, so I did on one side a quarter of an inch away with the gold, and on the other side I did a half inch away from the fold, so that there's gold on both sides. This also allowed me to sew up that point I used to turn so that you can't find it. It's just, kind of hidden and secure. And because I did a quarter inch and a half inch, it is all that seam allowance in there is sewn down. There is no excess. So here's how it turned out. Front and the back, and when it's laying down flat, you can't tell. And there is the quarter inch and there is the half inch. And I think it turned out really nice. Let me know down below if you end up doing this, and have a good day.